What's going on, everybody? It's your boy D from DNC Digital, back with another episode of DNC Radio. I hope everybody's doing good in the quarantine. I hope everybody's doing good in this pandemic, washing your hands, washing your ass, and wearing your fucking masks. But that's for another conversation. That's for another episode. Right now, I got my old buddy. We met about a year ago on Instagram, and we still don't know how we met. And from then on, we've been so supportive of each other's careers. He's been supportive of DNC Digital. I've been supportive of his career. And the cool thing about it is that his career is taken off, and I love seeing it happen for him. My guest today is Stefan Johnson. Stefan Johnson is a voiceover actor, but he's also a food reviewer. And he's also a TikTok comedian. This guy has a bunch of followers on TikTok. His YouTube is getting big. So if you want to check him out, S. Johnson Voiceovers on YouTube. And he's been featured on the Today Show, on BuzzFeed, on Tasty. And we're going to talk about all that along with his career and how he got to this point. So, Stefan, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing, man?
It's a pleasure to be here, D. I love it. I'm happy to be here, boss.
The funny thing is about it, we had we've been cool like the past year, but we finally spoke on the phone like yesterday.
A couple days, yesterday.
But I had to lock you down for this episode because it seems like you're getting really busy, man. How are things right now?
I mean, it's all time management at this point. I'm getting, the emails, the DMs, my normal work, social life. It's all about just managing time at this point.
And so let's start from the beginning. A Cleveland native, no?
Yes, sir.
And you gotta show me all the food when I go visit out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Where would be the spot to go to in Cleveland? Where did you eat at growing up?
Ooh, I mean, a big one is going to be Hot Sauce Williams. That's going to be the like barbecue soul food spot. If you're looking for like the typical Cleveland experience, you want to start with either a Polish boy, pierogi, or a Buckeye. And as far as Polish boys go, Hot Sauce Williams is going to be pretty much that first stop you want.
I wouldn't have guessed Cleveland to have a soul food population.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a massive, African-American community, and, as with like any culture, the food is like almost that, pinnacle or I should say that anchor of any culture, so Cleveland is just like any other place, basically.
So when you were in high school, you said you weren't really sure what we're going to do. You said you're kind of just there, the learning how to play instruments and everything, but you were in the drama club. Can you look back and think about that decision? Was it something to just pass the time, or was it something that you saw longevity in?
Well, I mean, honestly, looking back in high school, knowing me in ninth grade, it's going to start with the girls. I was like girl crazy, like, you know what I mean? And what most likely happened is that I took the drama elective as just like a, class to take or whatnot. And I noticed there's a lot of girls here, and they are all in the after school drama program. So that's probably where it started for me. But then it became like a passion. Like I realized that I genuinely like performing and acting or whatnot. So at a certain point, it became a passion,
And then they asked you to do the morning announcements, and that had to be some type of validation, like you're doing something right. And then by the way, you're in high school, you already had this voice. When did your voice drop?
I'll say I noticed it, like when I started to get attention for it, probably about fifth or sixth grade. It got to the point where, like, every time I was asked to, like, read in class and I'd start reading or whatnot, like everyone just turns around and looks at me. And I was a shy kid, so, like, that mortified me, and I didn't want to talk in class after that. But, yeah, about fifth or sixth grade.
So what happens after you did the morning announcements? Was it nerve-wracking the first time, or was it something that you just saw, this is easy, this is nothing?
Oh, I mean, like I when I was doing the announcements, I was doing them with friends, a couple of good friends like that. And so that took a lot of the pressure off of it. But then, the attention started to come or whatnot. And that made a little bit, a little more high stakes at that point. But it was never too much of an, ordeal.
So what were the plans after high school? Did you see anything starting up, or did you just pretty much look around and be like, I'll see what I can do?
Well, I mean, it was going to be kind of I'll see what I could do kind of a thing. I think I was going to just attempt to enroll in Cleveland State University because all of my friends were like making plans, but I didn't really have a plan. It was kind of up to my guide, not up to my guidance counselor, but my guidance counselor was one who kind of pulled me aside, asked me what I wanted to do, and I told them I didn't know, and then they told me about the local broadcasting school here in Ohio, and that's where I ended up enrolling.
And what did you major in over there at that school?
Yep, it was going to be radio production and on-air radio.
Okay, and so when you learned about radio production, was it a decision like I want to learn this from all angles, or how did that decision come up?
Well, I mean, every person told me as long as since my voice dropped and became what it was, you should do radio. You should get into radio. And I heard it my entire life. And then once I got enrolled into the school, it was kind of just like, a no-brainer. Okay, a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm going to do radio, and went through the curriculum and I was pretty good at it, but ultimately ended up being a thing where I wasn't as interested in it as I thought I would be.
So now that you've become a voiceover actor and you learn about scripts, or you see a certain character, and now you have to voice it. You have to come up with maybe a small backstory, or they give you the backstory, and then you have to come up with the voice. Yeah. Now, I know you're in the Prince Project, which is a Prince tribute band. I'm not going to say a cover band. I'm going to say it's a tribute band.
Correct.
I've learned that. So is there a parallel between the music business and the voiceover business when it comes to, creative content? I know you're doing tribute songs. I know you're covering songs for Prince, but as far as your presentation goes and stuff.
Well, I mean, both have similar aspects of marketing and booking the gigs, if you will. You have to be heavy on your email game, heavy on your social media game, heavy on your social media visibility. You have to be personable. You have to know how to market your target audience. You have to know what your target audience is. As with music and voiceover, you just have to know what value you're bringing to someone's life, to their business, to their entertainment, to their night out, and, market a solution to a problem. Either it's entertainment or voiceover and narration. You're marketing a solution to a problem.
Can you look back at one of your shows in the Prince Project and just think, man, we're fucking rock stars right now?
Oh, well, we played the Golden Nugget in was in New Jersey, like this massive casino. And as me and my our other singer, not Prince, but the female singer, we were driving into the city, and we were driving up to the casino, and the entire side of the building had our band's name and logo on it. Like literally, they lit up the whole side of their building with our band, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. And actually, my very first show with them down in North Carolina, about a year ago to this date, almost. It was this massive historic theater in North Carolina, and like it was like a 3,000 or 4,000 seat theater, and we sold the place out. And that was my first show with them, and I'm like, wow, this is the real deal. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a few moments that kind of just click and say, hey, this is for real,
Any interesting stories with a fan? I'm sure there's some genuinely good ones, but any strange experience with a fan?
Quite a few. I mean, like the Prince Project's fan base, they're the older crowd. You know what I mean? We're talking about 40 plus, and a lot of these older women and men, when they see someone younger, and we're decked out. Like, we do the whole shebang with the costumes, and, we're like open shirts and, tight pants or whatnot. And they like to let you know that they like the way you look and move. And, usually, majority of the time, it's really respectful and really, just complimentary or whatnot. But, some of them kind of get, let me give you a hug, and the hug lasts for about 30 seconds, things like that, and you have to politely say, okay, well, I got to go talk to the next fan, or I got to go, get changed or pack up, you know what I mean? So every night there's always a little bit of that,
During the pandemic, everybody's doing a lot of work from home. You yourself, as a voice actor, you're able to do a lot of work from home. When you look back at those days being a part of the Prince Project, can you tell me one thing you hate and one thing you miss from the road?
One thing I hate that I don't miss, It's always the setup and tear down, especially the tear down. You know, you've been on stage for about 2 or 3 hours, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you may have a 4 or 5, 6 hour drive ahead of you, and then you got to take an hour, 30 minutes to an hour to pack up all your gear, break down, help. You know, help other band members get their stuff off stage or whatnot. Sometimes you're being rushed by the venue, you know, and then you're driving home in like pitch black sometimes, depending on where you're playing at that night. I don't miss the breakdown and the ride home. But as far as something I miss the fans. I miss the excitement of knowing I have a show tomorrow. You know, I miss the energy of it. I miss the ambience of just saying that I'm about to bring back this music that people haven't been able to see live since Prince passed away. You know, so just having a piece of that, you know, in someone's night, you know, having a piece of someone's night like that is like, I miss that, you know.
Were you was the band already formed when he was still alive? And if so, like, where were you and how did his passing affect you? I know you're a big fan of him.
Yeah, well, actually, they formed a bit after he passed. But like you said, I've always been a fan of Prince. I remember where I was actually at work. I was working at, I believe it was the Hilton. I was working at a hotel downtown, and popped up on my phone, and it said Prince dead. And you know, these hoaxes are all over the place. You know, they said like Morgan Freeman died about 20 times. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I'm not paying any mind or whatnot. And then I get another notification from CNN, Prince dead. And I'm like, maybe something's, you know, whatever. And then Fox News, Prince dead. I'm like, okay, this is real. I break away, look through the articles, and they, you know, it's real. And, you know, you just kind of got to take a step back for a second and realize that, you know, one of the last few icons we still had is gone, you know, and it takes you aback a bit. But yeah, I think I was at work when I found out.
You know, while you were doing the Prince project, you were still having, you know, a regular job, as they say. You had a bunch of jobs, and you in a past interview you talk about being bored with jobs, and I do want to talk about that for a second. But there's one job
Yeah,
that stuck out to me.
yeah.
Can you tell me your worst experience as a restaurant manager?
Oh my God, so many. Well, while I was at Pizza Hut running shift there, um, we got robbed,
Oh
gun
shit!
gunpoint. So me and one of my coworkers, well, actually a few of our coworkers, it's about midnight, and I'm cleaning up, and me particularly, I'm in the back sweeping or whatnot, and my coworker, she was counting cash up front, and I heard her scream. Now, this particular coworker was a goofy coworker, like always laughing, joking, playing jokes, stuff like that. So I literally heard it, took my headphone out, put it back in. Oh, it's just her playing around. Put it back, sweeping, keep sweeping until I see someone hop the counter. Another guy busts through the little door to the back we have, full on ski mask, points a gun to my face, and it's like, you already know what it is. And I'm like, you're correct. I already know what it is. And give him my phone. You know what I mean? I'm like, give him my phone, give him my wallet. They push us all back into this walk-in closet, not closet, this walk-in cooler we had, and they lock us in. Now, the fact that they know how to work a walk-in cooler makes me think it's an inside job, but that's neither here nor there. But they lock us in there, but they didn't know, or maybe they did know, we have a panic button in the walk-in cooler. So we hit the panic button, and police comes, whole thing. Everyone's crying. I'm not crying. I'm just more of in shock at this point. It didn't hit me until I got home. I walk home. I'm just like, wow, that really happened. That's crazy. And then I get home, and it really kind of hit me like, wow, I had a gun to my head. You know what I mean? And so that's probably the craziest thing that happened while I was a manager at a restaurant.
And then, thankfully, nothing happened that night. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have had you today, man.
Yeah.
You've thought of all these ideas, and so all these ideas, are they cooked up because of the pandemic, or are they cooked up anyway? Because during the pandemic, you know, when it comes to content creators, we got to stay consistent.
Yeah.
So, like, talk about your decision to join TikTok. Talk about your ideas. How did you get all of this started?
Well, I've always been kind of a creator at heart. Like every once in a while, even before COVID and TikTok and everything, I would just get an idea and I decide that I'm gonna make a little funny video, a little 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute little funny video, and I would always get little laughs and ha-has here and there. But yeah, COVID was a pretty big player in it because um, with COVID, I just my availability just opened up, just like just crazily. Between the band not playing and me not going out to like karaoke with my friends and no band practice and stuff like that, it was pretty much just me doing voiceover, and voiceover keeps me busy. But even with that, I still had a lot of free time. So I'm scrolling through my normal social medias and I kept seeing people share and mention things from this whole TikTok thing. And I knew about TikTok from when, first years ago, but I just was one of those few social medias I never got into. And I finally downloaded it like late February. And I'm like, okay, fun little, minute content. It reminds you almost of like Vine. And I was a massive fan of Vine back in the day. So I created an account and started posting a few videos here and there. And then I started to see other people's videos and they start to kind of inspire you how, you can make such elaborate and compelling content in under a minute, So I started to take a whack at making more thoughtful, scripted, skit-like content, and it eventually started to get a little attention.
Is there any aspirational stuff? Is there any callbacks that you do to past sketch comedy shows?
Uh, I don't think any callbacks to any like past sketch comedy shows. There's definitely a lot of aspects and inspiration I get from certain shows that I personally watched growing up, like your Mad TVs, your Saturday Night Lives, your All That's and stuff like that. I definitely take inspiration format wise from a lot of those.
Um, Going back to being bored with jobs, you decided that you were just being bored with having a job,
Yeah.
and decided to just go full time in doing the voice acting.
Yeah.
Now, we had this conversation the other day. Like, that fear is always there when you have a dream, you have aspirations, that like that first step. Not going to have a job. I'm going to do this full time. What led you to finally make that decision, and what kind of fear did you have on the other side of that decision?
Well, I mean, with my most recent like day job I had, it was to a point where every couple of years I was switching jobs, literally about a job a year. And then I was at my most recent job and I didn't really, I saw myself getting to that point again, getting bored, getting annoyed with management and looking for something better. And I've been blessed enough to say that whenever I decided I wanted to find a new job, it was always like a progressive movement. I always found a better job with better hours, better pay, better management, better company, but it was just never enough. I was never quite happy. I always found something wrong. And it reached this last point where I just had to say like, okay, Stefan, this is about your 10th or 11th job in the last 10 years. You have to look at yourself and figure out a solution other than just finding another job. And at that point, I had been doing voiceover seriously for about 5 years. And, it was at a point where, some days voiceover was just so busy where it would affect my day job either way. Either I had to go and try and find time to record jobs in my car during my lunch break, or I'd show up to work late because I had to record a job early that morning, or I'd have to find an excuse to leave work, make up an excuse like someone's sick, I have to leave work early so I can go home and record. It was just a combination of those two things, being bored with the job and voiceover kind of taking up the majority of my time. It became a point where I just had to say, you know what, I need to take the leap. Voiceover needs to be that thing. And as far as fears, I worried about money. I worried about what like my family and my fiance would think, because you're taking a risk. You're taking a massive risk going from a guaranteed 40 hours, a guaranteed $20 an hour or whatever it is, to freelancing. You know what I mean? So talked to my family about it, talked to my agents about it, talked to my fiance about it, gave it about 6 months to save up, get some debt down, and put in my 2 weeks in. It was actually a year ago. It was July of last year I went full time. So been doing it for a year.
They say behind every great man is a even greater woman. When you talk about your fiance and having that conversation with her, what was her response to saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this full time"? And how important support to you?
Oh, it was like no hesitation. Like she knows that she knew that like as long as we've been dating, like right when me and her started dating was right when I started to take voiceover seriously. She literally watched me build my home studio. Like the second, like it was pretty much the same week we moved in together is when I started to invest in studio gear. And I had like a little corner in our living room with just like your most basic computer, your most basic microphone. And that was my studio and she was there every step of the way. So last year when I said, hey, you know, and she knows me. She knows the way my mind works. She knows when I'm ready to quit a job, it's just like that. My 2 weeks already put in. I found a new job. And she knew I wasn't happy. I would come home and vent to her. So it was no surprise. And the second I said that, you know, I think I'm going to do this full time, you know, I'm going to take that plunge, put in these 2 weeks without hesitation. She's like, okay, I got you. And, you know, not I got you as in I understand you. She's like, I got you as far as like, if you just need anything, if things are rough, you know what I mean? I got you. You know what I mean? And, you know, just knowing that you have someone behind you. If I didn't have her, I wouldn't be full time right now because I wouldn't have had that support system. You know what I mean?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. When I got cut off of work from the pandemic, it was I got you.
Yeah.
And I don't think they understand that as a man, it's hard to let yourself get got
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
way, you know,
Yeah.
because you're feeling like you're not putting in your share. And, but the mere fact that they say that just means that you're in good hands,
Of
you know?
course. Absolutely.
When you started doing voiceover, you must have some horror stories of being in the booth
Yeah.
and, maybe your worst critique or like maybe the moment where you didn't think it was good, but bam, they said it was awesome. Like what kind of stories do you have in the beginning when you're still crawling before you're walking
Yeah.
in the voiceover?
Well, one of my very first jobs, when I decided to really take it seriously was something I found on Craigslist. And it didn't go as bad as it could have been, but it was still pretty bad. Basically, a company put out an ad looking for a voice talent to record some e-learnings for our training our new employees. I responded, talked to the guy over the phone. I didn't have a demo. I didn't have a website. I was just a guy looking to do voiceover. And I called and talked to them. They liked my voice and they said, hey, can we have you come in like this Monday or something? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I'm thinking it's going to be like this maybe 5-10 minute job. I'm going to read some stuff off and it'll be done. And little did I know they needed like a 20 module e-learning thing, which was going to end up being about 2 hours. Now, mind you, I have ADHD, like legit clinically diagnosed ADHD. So even to this day, anything long form is a struggle for me. And to think that I took this job on without voiceover training, without the proper experience or whatever, it was a nightmare. I sat there in their studio there for about 8 hours, like literally an entire workday. And I just hobbled my way through it because again, just the way my mind works sometimes with anything long form, I'll, you know, lose track of where I am and I'll say a word and I'll say a word that's not even in the script. It just, you know, it's just tough. And they were nice enough to deal with me and pay me or whatnot, but literally I took what should have been about an hour and a half to 2 hour job and turned it into an 8 hour day. And that was kind of the point where I said, I need to look into coaching. I need to start practicing more. I'm taking it seriously, but I need to really take this seriously.
It's interesting that you say you have ADHD and you can't really, like you say, you struggle. The word is struggle with anything long form. Does that make it easy for you to make content for the internet, seeing how people's attention span before they scroll is so short?
Well, I mean, that's where I'll say I have lucked out and have turned my weakness into a strength because me having the ADHD, I know when I start to get bored, when I'm making my own content and I reach a point where I'm not laughing all the way through it, you know what I mean? That's where I know that it slipped my attention span and it'll slip other people's attention span. So my main goal when creating content is to keep myself laughing or at least chuckling the entire way through, to keep it interesting. If it's only interesting for 15 seconds, we're going to format this into a 15-second video. If I can keep myself laughing for 10 minutes, this is going to be a 10-minute video. And it's been working out pretty well so far.
So you're a big foodie, and that's what's helped you throughout your career.
Hmm.
What made you decide to do food reviews? It's such an it's kind of like an open business, an open content business, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you have your own way of doing it. So
Yeah.
how did you come up with that way of doing it, and what made you decide to do food reviews?
Well, I've always been fans of like the other food reviewers, like Dame Drops and like Guy Fieri and like the guys you see on like Food Network and stuff like that, and the Travel Channel, Anthony Bourdain, stuff like that. And food is so universal, and people have so many different opinions on food. Like me and you joke back and forth about like our food battles and things like that, but it's like
And
really a
and
thing.
that's a real battle that we need to promote.
Yeah,
That's that
we
battle is
do.
gonna. Yeah.
We really need to push that. We really do need to push that because it's such a thing where it can be such a light-hearted topic, but then again, people get really passionate about their food too. Like even the debate between flats and drums, between ranch and blue cheese. You know what I mean? I think people get really hot about this stuff. You know what I mean? So everyone's interested in food. Everyone has to eat, and I figured I have a pretty strong opinion about certain sides of the whole thing. Let's see if people care about my opinions. Let's see if I can sway people over to the other side. If anyone can sway me over to the other side, and it's been working out so far.
And so I want to lead up to this because this I feel is something I want to learn, and I feel like it's something that's important that people can hear right now, so they can learn a lot about you. You made a and it was funny because it came from a conversation that we had
Mhm.
because we genuinely want to go visit each other. I want to go to Cleveland. You want to come down here to Texas, and we
Yeah,
say, I'm gonna show you Whataburger. I'm gonna show you some Texas barbecue, some Hispanic food. You don't even know, like people eat breakfast tacos. When you talked about some breakfast carbs, when I said
yeah.
tortilla, we're like fucking tortillas. So you wanted to show me what the Polish boy was, and I guess sitting there, you decided I'm gonna make a video on how to make a Polish boy because just like you explained, and it makes a lot of sense. Food is universal, and people are gonna watch anyway. So Alton Brown, you tagged him on Twitter, and Alton Brown responded. Can you tell me about that moment? Because as a kid, you used to watch Alton Brown with your mother, and I assume it was an emotional moment for you, thinking about when you were a kid and how it kind of came full circle.
Yeah, I mean, like over the last few months since like I've been, you know, like super visible on the like social media, like certain like celebrities and certain personalities have added me here and there, but I've never quite fanboyed out. You know what I mean? Alton Brown following me and responding and everything like that, I fanboyed out for like a good like minute and a half because again, like, part of the reason I guess I can even also credit him as to like another reason why I am so interested in doing like the food reviews and the food breakdowns and stuff like that. Because if you watch his old show, Good Eats, he was pretty much the Bill Nye of the food industry as far as breaking down food, even to a scientific level. Like he was like the ultimate food commentary person from every angle of it. And growing up watching him like almost every day with my mom, it's like a thing where he subliminally, even if I didn't realize it until he added me that day, he influenced like the way I present, the way I think about food, the way I come at breaking things down. He was a major influence. And, to come and pick up my phone one day and see that Alton Brown is following you, I'm like, well, shit. You know what I mean? It's just mind blown moment.
What does your mom say?
Yeah. Oh, she freaked out because again she's been watching him longer than I have, you know what I mean? And she's freaking out. She calls me and she's like, "Oh my God, baby, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. She always says this. She's like, "You're going places. Whether or not you want to admit it or not, you're going places." And I'm like, I mean, you may be right. You know what I mean? So yeah, she
She
freaked out
sounds
too.
excuse me, she sounds like a very sweet lady, and that conversation must have been like so awesome.
Oh
Coming
yeah.
from just sitting on the floor, maybe like or on the couch with your mom, and then like I have a crazy story that I got to meet Eddie Guerrero one day, and
Really?
yeah, My mom hates professional wrestling.
Yeah.
You and I, we're both obsessed with professional wrestling. And our ladies had to understand, like, look, it gets bad. It gets bad.
True. True.
So, like, I mean, sidebar, I only show certain matches to my girlfriend. If you can remember Undertaker and Jeff Hardy from Raw with the
Yeah.
ladder match,
Of course.
that's one. Angle, Mysterio from SummerSlam, some
Classic.
that tells those stories. But
Yeah.
my girl is very very partial to NXT, and when WWE Network makes those documentary style stuff,
Yeah.
she loves that stuff. But back to my mom, she didn't really like professional wrestling, but
Yeah.
something about Eddie Guerrero when he
Yeah.
came out, he's Hispanic, very handsome man, charming, smiling, even when he was a bad guy. She's
Yeah.
like, I like him. He's okay. I like him. So we were watching him win the title, and that was a cool moment that I got to see my mom excited about something in wrestling,
Yeah.
you know? So I met Eddie Guerrero, and I was like, I need to tell you that I understand what the business is, but when you won that title, you made us feel, and when I say us, I mean the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
You and anybody really, anybody who really has been held down or a guy who they don't see going to the top, whether it's a company or whether it's a restaurant getting to management, you know, any man or woman who felt that way. You made us feel like the custodian can own the place one day, you know? And as a Hispanic man, like it was crazy. You made us proud. You made us proud. You are our champion. And my mom was cheering for you. And she hates wrestling. And he looked at me, he put his bags down, and he gave me a hug. And he's like, "Thank you, brother." I'm like, "No, thank you because you gave me that cool moment that I'll never forget."
Yeah.
And now with the you know situation of him passing, it was just my mom was really sad. It
Yeah.
was just crazy because that kind of moment is like when Alton Brown responded and followed you,
Yeah.
you know. And it's really cool that you have those moments. But the one that really set you off was, and it really helped. And like I said the other day, it was so poetic that it was that video. You did a video on the day in the life of a voice actor.
Yeah.
Now, what's funny, what's really interesting, you don't use hashtags. Me, I use hashtags to get a broader audience.
Yeah.
This is how I know your stuff is good because people started retweeting, they started sharing, they started saying, "Hey, you got to watch this." Voice actors were contacting other voice actors with your video. Check this shit out. Tell me this is not real. So, you made the video, you put it up. You didn't think much of it, right? But then you were woken up at night. Tell me what you thought about that moment.
Well, I mean, it just came out of nowhere because I had been creating content like for months, well, like years ultimately, but like as far as like the whole TikTok thing and just like really trying to like entertain people for like months. And you know, the social media is such a goofy thing where like you can put hours and days and thoughts and like scripts together, and you put something together that you just know is just amazing, and nothing happens. And then you can put a video of you ranting about cereal up and it does numbers. So it's like it's always such a mixed bag of what can happen. And this is one of those ones where it's like, you know, I'm gonna work hard on it, but it'll probably get 100 views. You know what I mean? And I posted it and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm getting ready for bed and I saw like, okay, I got like 50 views, some ha-has here. Okay, cool. And then wake up in the middle of the night 'cause my phone kept buzzing. I thought something was wrong. I thought someone was trying to call me or whatever. It's like 1 in the morning and I just see they're all TikTok and Twitter notifications. This this person added you. This person commented. This person, you know what I mean? It was like nonstop, like literally, like every minute, like just they just kept pouring in. And I'm like, I'm trying to like backtrack. I'm like, what happened? What went right? And then I saw that the creator of World of Warcraft had retweeted it, and that was kind of like, I'm like, how did he see it? You know what I mean? And then I'm looking and I saw that certain like personalities that I recognized had retweeted it or whatever. And it just continued that entire morning or whatever. And then it was like, the majority of it was from Twitter, and I wasn't at the time too Twitter savvy. And it was actually you who started to like catch certain people retweeting it. And you were like, "Hey, did you know the Big Show retweeted you and added you?" I'm like, "What?" did you know that fucking Joey Ryan is tweeting at you? And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And then I'm starting to look for those blue verification checks, and I'm seeing a lot of them at this point. And I'm like, how is this happening? You know what I mean? It was very overwhelming, and it continued on for like almost 2 weeks afterwards, nonstop. And it was just very overwhelming, but in the best way possible, you know?
Yeah, definitely, man. And things have been going so well for you. And the past 2 days, BuzzFeed and Tasty has compiled all of your review videos, and
Yeah.
the numbers are insane. Because I don't know if you were like, if you looked at the ninth grade you, and you saw him chasing ass by signing up for a drama club, if you told that kid Big Show's going to follow you, Alton Brown is going to follow you, and you're going to be so successful on social media, and you're going to be on your way to becoming like a very well-known, successful voice actor, what would that kid have told you?
Oh, he probably would have kicked me in the shin or something, because I was a little asshole back then. And, you know, I'm skeptical, and I didn't know what I wanted to do back then. And if you're going to tell me that some of my, you know, some celebrities that I've looked up to almost my entire life were going to add me because of a video I made, like, no, you couldn't have told me that. I wouldn't have believed myself.
Those numbers are crazy. What the people close to you, what have they been saying about all these, like, it's not just one viral video, because some people are one hit wonders. They get the,
Yeah.
you know, Charlie bit my finger type shit.
Yeah.
And then that's it. No, but you have stayed consistent, and people have genuinely supported you. It's not the one share and haha.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get to them in a second. But how do the people closest to you, how do they feel about everything that's been going on?
Well, I mean, I've been lucky enough to say that I have a very, very, very supportive support system from every angle. Friends, family, friends of family, family of friends, you know what I mean? Like, from all angles. I just get like calls daily, messages daily, DMs daily, just people just saying, I'm proud of you. I've always seen this in you, you know, from a young kid. You've always had that creativity, you know what I mean? Seeing stuff that I've never saw myself. You know what I mean? Like someone told me the other day, like, when I met you back in 6th grade, I knew that you were going to make it big. And I'm like, what was I doing in 6th grade? Like, you know, like, what, I'm sure I was not doing anything productive in 6th grade. But just from like every angle, I'm getting so much support and so much love I didn't even know I had. And it's, again, another thing that's overwhelming, but in the best way possible.
The last line of your life, or Day in the Life of the Voice Actor video, is, I need constant validation from people I know. That line is so deep, but it's insane how deep it goes, because so many celebrities have retweeted and said, I need constant validation from people I don't know. Social media has become this beautiful monster where free advertising, free marketing, but at the same time, you do get some hate mail, you do get some shitty comments,
Yeah.
and we won't spend any time on those. But the whole validation on people that you don't know, I don't even know how to word that question. Talk about how that layer is so interesting psychologically, that you do see the retweets, you do see the little hearts, and you don't know these people. So, I mean, not sure how to word the question, but talk about the support that you've been getting from people you don't know from across the world, potentially.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Just to know that because of the massive reach of social media, that people in England and New Zealand and Taiwan are retweeting and laughing, and you know, you see, like, especially like on TikTok, you see the comments in different languages. You know what I mean? And you go on these people's profile and you see that this person is in Mumbai, this person's in Brazil, and they're watching your video. A lot of times they may not even understand what you're saying, but they're finding a laugh and entertainment out of it. And to know that something that I'm creating has such a reach, like globally, internationally, you know, it's mind-boggling. And I always preach this, and I keep saying this to people who ask me what's next, is that I just want to have the best follow-up game possible. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like like you said, Charlie bit my finger, and, I'm here, and then it's gone the next day. Not even for myself more so, but, I have people who tell me that, like, I'm in a very dark place right now, and, I am having the worst period of my life right now, and I go to your page and I see your videos, and it gives me the one laugh I have had in weeks or whatnot. You almost feel a responsibility to keep creating, because if I'm that one laugh that someone has for their entire week and I disappear, where does that leave that person? You know what I mean? So at a certain point, I just find myself wanting to create content, and I may have a day where I just don't feel like it, or I just really don't have the time. But, I just want to put something out there to make someone laugh, or to at least, even if it's not a funny video, something that will take someone's mind off of whatever their current situation is. If it's only for 60 seconds, let me do my part to make someone's day that much more bearable,
It's really refreshing that a person so young into their success can already think like that. Let's stay on that topic. Talk about that platform and what that first message meant to you.
Well, I mean, I feel like as a creator, you have a certain responsibility to use your platform for positivity. You know what I mean? And when you get these messages and you see how you're affecting people, you realize that you have such a platform and you're affecting these people's lives daily, even if it's just passively, even if it's just them scrolling and they happen upon your video. You have the power to make them laugh, cry, or make them angry within that 15 to 60 seconds. So it's a lot of pressure at a certain point. But it's pressure that I welcome, pressure that I've kind of leaned into, and, a pressure that I plan on, embracing indefinitely.
When you look back at being bored with those jobs, what made you bored? And do you fear that maybe boredom can set in the future?
That's a good question. As far as what I found boring about the jobs, I mean, well, a part of it is the repetition. I've always worked in some office or some front desk, or some customer service or hospitality gig. And, the people may change. You meet and talk to different people every day, but at the end of the day, you're transferring a call. At the end of the day, you're checking someone in. At the end of the day, you're building an insurance policy. You know what I mean? You're doing the same thing every day. The name may change, but the functionality and the job function is the same for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, forever. But with what I'm doing now, no video is the same. Your audience is never the same. That one person who is going to comment that they like it or hate it is never the same. It's literally every day is different. And me working at home, doing the voiceover thing, freelance on my own, I control my schedule and I control when I create, how long I create for, and, just that freedom. I'll say that freedom is what's going to keep me from getting bored with this.
That being said, would you think of a possibility of you being hesitant to sign on to be a reoccurring character in a series? Or let's say you become you do get a spot in a series and now you're there for X amount of seasons, should that series be successful?
I mean, that's something I've thought about too. Because I'm slowly getting into like the screen acting thing here and there with things. And that's something I've talked to my friends and my fiance about. Like, I don't think I would always welcome any opportunity or whatnot, but I think I would more so welcome a reoccurring, well, let me say, like a special guest feature kind of a role than I would like a reoccurring every episode kind of a role. Because again, that's where almost my ADD would set in. You know what I mean? Well, if I'm doing the same thing for too long, I'm going to get bored. And me personally, when I get bored with things, I stop doing them well. So I feel like at a certain point, I'm doing myself a disservice to anyone I'm obligated to by allowing myself to get bored with it. So.
When you talk about doing something too long and you get bored and you don't do them well, can you differ those things? Can you separate them? Like, this is me getting bored. This is not me losing my quality or my talent. Are those things? Can you separate those things?
Oh yeah, easily, easily.
And how do you critique yourself when it comes to that?
Well, I mean, it's all about my motivation. I kind of feel my motivation. Like, it's almost like when you have a new job. When you have that new job, um, that first couple of days, first couple of weeks, you're excited to wake up. You want to rush and get dressed. You may even get your clothes out the day before, and you get in there, you walk in, you're smiling to everyone. You're interested to meet everyone's. You want to get names, and you want to just talk to everyone, and you're perky or whatnot. And personally, that dies off for me a lot faster than most people. Usually within the first 30 minutes of me being on a new campus at a new job or whatnot, I'm kind of already over it. You know what I mean? And it's just something weird about my personality. But I've never felt that about any creative I've been into, whether it's voice acting, screen acting, whether it's music, whether it's video production, content creation, or whatnot. I've never started a project and said, I'm already over this in its infancy. Whether it's a band, whether it's a voice over job, whether it's a video I'm starting or whatnot. I just never felt that way.
What's really interesting is that content creators do everything themselves. Most of them, You
Mm-hmm.
do your video production, you do your editing,
Mm-hmm.
you do your scripts if there is any.
Mm-hmm.
You do everything. Now, I'm gonna compare it to a person who opens up a restaurant with his or her own recipes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to open up a second one knowing that you're not there. You know? Is that person doing my recipe correct? Is that person really making this food as it should be?
Yeah.
The day you do get successful, I'm not going to say when because it's already happening. When you become famous, when you become more notable, when you become more in the eyes of other people, and you get these jobs, would you be okay with them doing the editing, them doing the writing? You're not in charge of that stuff. All you got to do is show up and say your lines. Would that be more difficult for you, seeing how you came this far all by yourself?
It would be tough because I'm a people person and I'm a team player, but I'm that guy who likes to take the reins. Like, I feel better about a situation if I know I'm overseeing it and I know I'm directly there. Like, there was a I did one audiobook in my life. I've only done one audiobook in my life, and I'll never do it again because it's a grind. And with my ADD, I finally got the dialogue done, but it was coming close to the actual due date. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it done in time. So I had to hire an editor to finish, the actual going through it, getting out the bad takes, equalizing it or whatnot. And while I gave her the files and I left her to her devices, and I was a nervous wreck for that 24-hour period because I'm
Yep.
just sitting there, and I know I got on her nerves. I'm just messaging her, how are things going? Can you send me a portion of it? And a matter of fact, send me it periodically, chapter to chapter, so I can review it as you're going. You know what I mean? Because if I know I don't have the absolute control over every little bit of something, I start to worry. You know what I mean? And if at the way the trajectory is going right now, it most likely will reach a point somewhere down the line where I may want to consider hiring a video editor, hiring a script writer, hiring someone to help me with my social media or whatnot, and if it reaches that point, it would just have to be people I trust, people with a background that I can verify, proven track record, but either way, it would have to be something I get used to.
And you talk about being represented by an agent that you weren't sure about, who she was or how far her reach is. You talked to your voiceover buddies and they told you to run to her. Talk about that moment and how you felt possibly you're moving on to the next level now that you're represented by her.
Well, I mean, Celia Seagal, she has such a reputation in the industry, which to the point where like everyone knows her name. Me, I'm always completely oblivious to most important things in life, unfortunately. So again, I was the only person who did not know her name, unfortunately, as embarrassing as that is. And, it's another one of those things, almost like the Alton Brown thing, where once I've realized that this person is reaching out to me, like I didn't even have to reach out to them. Her and her team are reaching out to me for this. It's almost one of those things where it's like, why me? You know what I mean? Like you almost second guess yourself for a second. And, but once you sign and once, you get all the T's crossed and I's dotted and it's official, I realized that like, wow, I have like, like a powerhouse, you know what I mean, behind you, and it's a blessing, just having someone who's already seen your body of work and who wants to take you on and put every bit of their resources into what you have, it's mind-boggling to me.
We're already coming up to the tail end of this interview. I want to thank you, bro, for really for doing the show.
Definitely.
It's been a lot of fun, and it's cool because it's a lot easier because we genuinely know each other, good buddies.
Yeah, sure.
I see a full friendship till the day we're grumpy old men. But now I want to talk about food because we are different. We are on different sides of the spectrum when it comes to stuff, this is. And everybody can sound off in the comments. Everybody can leave all the comments they want. This is where we're going to find out what kind of man Stefan is. Why do you not like flats when it comes to wings?
Oh, they're too much work. You gotta.
How?
Oh my god. Well, you gotta like.
Flats.
Oh my god.
All you gotta do is pull one out, and then you do the meat thing.
But with a drum, all you gotta do is really just you take the bite. Twist it once, and you don't even got to do that. You don't have to do the chiropractor gig and all that. And like even when you do that, I've done that before, and you still get like a little bit of gristle in it or whatnot. You got to fight your way around the gristle or whatnot. Just drums are just a lot less work, honestly.
How do you get your steaks?
My steaks, between medium and medium rare.
Okay, and do you add steak sauce or no?
A good steak, you shouldn't need to. If it's a bad steak, I will, but yeah.
I read that Nicki Minaj got yelled at because at a steakhouse she asked for some steak sauce.
Jesus. Of course Nicki did. Of course she did.
Favorite breakfast cereal?
That's a loaded question. It depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I'm feeling like an adult, that morning, I will have some Honey Nut Cheerios, some honey bunches of oats, something like that. But if I feel like a juvenile that day, it's the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's going to be the Cocoa Puffs. It may be a mixture of a few. I may have some Apple Jacks with some like Fruity Pebbles or something like that. You know what I mean? Not Fruity Pebbles because I hate Fruity Pebbles. But, I may mix or max, something like that.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Here's one you didn't do a video on. What's your favorite pastry snack?
Well, as far as like baked goods in general.
You can look at like, the powdered donuts, Little Debbie's, or the filling cakes.
I feel you. I am a fan of Nutty Buddies, Little Debbie's Nutty Buddies. I'm a fan of, God, there's another one I am forgetting. Zebra cakes were big on my list for a while, but then I went from zebra cakes to Swiss rolls. That's what I'm thinking of. I used to love Swiss rolls. So Swiss rolls, Nutty Buddies, and zebra cakes. So maybe my top three, my Mount Rushmore of snack cakes.
Are you a ramen noodle guy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A house is not a house without a pack of ramen noodles.
Yeah. I've been trying so hard to like not eat it because it has enough salt for like the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's rough.
So what's your ramen noodle recipe? I know a lot of people do different ramen noodle stuff. So tell me your ramen noodle recipe.
I do a ramen noodle patty melt. What I do is Yep, sir. Yep. It sounds a lot more involved than it actually is.
I gotta get rid of all distractions right now. I gotta hear this.
It's not complicated at all. All you're doing is you're gonna make a turkey patty. I'll put some salt, pepper, ground cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika in it. Make it a patty, just a burger, and then I'll put some.
You're talking about like ground turkey. You're gonna season ground turkey with this.
Yep. Seasoned ground turkey. You're just basically making it into a burger, and
Okay,
I'll put
what are you using? I'm Sorry, I'm sorry. What are the seasonings you're using?
You're doing salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, cumin, and I'll do some herb depending on what I have in the cabinet, like either thyme, an oregano, a parsley, just whatever I have in there. And then I try to make it with shredded cheese opposed to like sliced cheese, whether it's Monterey, a cheddar, something like that, or Gruyere. But I try to use shredded opposed to sliced because I feel like I get a better melt on that. But anyway, just cheese on top of the patty, and then you do your ramen noodles. I like my noodles a little al dente, I think is the term. I don't like them very, very
Just
well done.
for,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like a little bit of bite still to them, and
more
then
candle wax
uh,
than yeah.
exactly, exactly. That's the perfect way to say it. Exactly. You know, and then from there you just put the noodles on and put the patty on top of it. Maybe a little more cheese, maybe a little Parmesan cheese or something, and that's it. My ramen noodle patty melt.
Whoa! When you said patty melt, I thought there was like bread involved.
Oh no, 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 no bread.
Wow. So,
Yeah,
but what flavor packet are you using with the ramen noodles? Or are
always
you just?
chicken.
Oh, sorry.
Always chicken.
Always chicken.
Yeah,
Okay. Jeez, that
yeah.
changed my life. I
There
gotta
you
actually make.
go. Try it, bro. Try it.
And candy bar. My favorite candy bar is Snickers. That's why I agreed with your. It's all about Snickers, bro.
Yes, sir.
All about.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I have this book. I have this book here that I bought from Target. Shout out to Target. Sponsor me if you want. So it's 3,000 questions about me. So I like to use this during my interviews just to find out what kind of person I'm dealing with. All right.
Okay.
So I'm just
Okay.
gonna flip a random question, and I'm gonna ask you. Hmm. Oh, that's too political. Hold on. We're trying to keep the listeners and the viewers.
Oh, I feel you.
What embarrasses you instantly?
Mm. Well, I mean, it goes back to like even like fifth or sixth grade. Sometimes all the attention my voice gets, like if I'm just out in the world, like if I'm just at like fucking Target and I say something and someone's like, "Oh my God, your voice is so beautiful," immediately, like if I was a little lighter complexion, my face would be red. You know what I mean? Like immediately, I'm just feeling myself blushing, and like not even like that. I'm flattered blushing. It's like, oh my God, they're about to make a big deal about this. I just want to go home. And, you know, so people talking about my voice sometimes still embarrasses me, even if it's in a positive light.
What has been your worst haircut or style?
Oh, from one I gave myself at the beginning of COVID. I tried to give myself a bald fade because it's like my go-to haircut. Shout out to my barber, Rob. I miss you. I haven't been to him since COVID started. Um, and I tried to give myself a bald fade. I watched like an hour of YouTube videos on how to give yourself a bald fade, and I was confident. I have like two sets of clippers. I have the guards or whatever it is. I have the double mirror thing going. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking kick ass. And I gave myself a fucking a bowl cut. I gave myself the bowl cut, the chili bowl cut. I don't know
Ooh,
how. I thought I was fading myself. Mind you, I'm blind too, and just to even try to do it properly, I have to take my glasses off to even try to get towards the sides. So a good portion
right.
of it, I'm doing without my glasses, and I ended up having to just shave it all off because I was rocking a chili bowl for like 20 minutes, and I just said, no, I can't do this. So I just cut it all off.
You had Lloyd Christmas going,
Yeah, exactly,
except
exactly.
it was Lloyd Kwanzaa for that.
Exactly.
Hey, black hair matters too. Okay.
Black hair matters all day, every day.
All,
You already know.
are you more worried about doing things right or doing the right things?
Doing the right things. I'll say, yeah, because I'm a big like moral compass type of guy. Going with your gut, you know, I'd rather do the right thing.
What do you like to put gravy on?
I feel like most meats can appreciate gravy. I feel like whether it's chicken, whether it's steak, whether it's pork. Well, again, it depends on the steak. If the steak needs it, I can put gravy on it. Pork chop, rice, pasta, gravy, fries like poutine. Yeah, I can gravy. It's dope.
Here's one that you can probably do a video on. What is your favorite board game?
Mm. You know what? There's one I actually discovered not too long ago. Back when I decided I was going to be social, I went to this bar. There's a bar here in Cleveland called God, what is it called? It's called like the Checkpoint. It's a video game themed bar. No, it's called Side Quest, like a video game side quest. And there's a massive board game like wall, and I met it with like a group of players who I didn't know, and they were playing this game called Cards Against Humanity.
Oh my God, that
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know if it's technically a board game, but it comes in a box like a board game, so I want to consider it here. And it was a crazy game, and I'll say that's probably my new favorite.
last one. What is your? This is probably the sweetest one. What is your favorite family tradition?
Oh gosh, I would probably say it's just like every Thanksgiving. I mean, it's the basic, and everyone has it. But like us all getting together on like Thanksgiving, because none of us really do like the Christmas thing like hardcore. But Thanksgiving is like that one where we said, okay, we're all going to get together and we're all going to just catch up and So I'll think Thanksgiving dinner, as cliche as it is, Thanksgiving dinner.
No, yeah, of course. And I think since we've all had to like stay at home, the
Yeah,
family time is a lot more scarce, and
yeah,
then you just miss it a lot more. So
yeah.
what are you looking forward to the most when all this shit is over?
Playing shows again, going back out to karaoke. Um,
Do you feel like you can still play shows with your current status? I guess I can say.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like, I'm gonna have to find a way to make it work because I mean, music to me, I've always been in some band for the last like 15 years, consistently. Like, I've never gone a year without being in a band. If a band breaks up, literally, I find another one within months because I just love playing music. So, with Prince Project being the massive entity it is, I've never been in a band like this that was playing the capacity of shows and making the money and having the crowds be so into the music you're playing. I'm not giving that up, so I'm gonna have to find a way to make it work.
Last question.
Yeah.
Where do we see Stefan in 3 5 years?
I mean, that could be a few different avenues. I mean, as far as voiceover goes, I want to break into that realm of voicing movie trailers and promos for networks and stuff like that. As far as the content creation, I plan on really getting the YouTube things. I feel like YouTube is like the end game for most content creators because of the possibility for just revenue and, outreach and stuff like that. So hopefully I have a pretty established YouTube page. And quiet as it's kept, I'm actually looking into building a capacity of like maybe a production company. Even if it's just for like my own production or whatnot, I'm investing in equipment. I bought like green screens, I bought, can I find a remote for it? I bought like lights, like overhead lights. I don't know if you can see little
Yeah,
dumb, little dumb things like that, just to kind of up my production value. So hopefully I have some capacity of like a full production studio down the line.
hey, when you talk about movie trailers and stuff, I mean, I'm not going to say that they're easy, but I guess you can say maybe they're one of the easiest types of jobs when it comes to voiceover work. I remember talking to Carlos Ferro, who plays Dominic Santiago in Years of War. And that scene where he dies, he talks about like, I really need to go there. Like that emotion, I really do need to bring out. And it is exhausting. Does it
Yeah.
get exhausting when you do characters as opposed to, when you do your Orlando Magic spot or you do like a medical video and stuff? Is it harder to do characters and bring emotion? Because you still have to not only get that emotion, but you have to take that character to that emotion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be harder in a few different ways, but it can be easier in a few different ways as well. Where like movie trailer, it's easy. Movie trailer is easier in like you're only working on like maybe a 15 to 30-second spot compared to like a 2 hour medical narration. But you have aspect of character work in movie trailer and promo because you're telling a story and you only have 30 seconds to tell that story opposed to the movie that has 4 hours. But like doing like actual like video game character work or like animation character work, you again a lot of times these characters are like off the wall and they're screaming and there's just like over the top of just antics and you have to physically you know portray that energy that's on the screen. You have to portray it with your voice, and it's hard. It's very hard to do something with your voice that animators or video people can do with the visuals, you know, so it's very challenging. Yeah.
Stefan, where can they find you on social media, man? Let them know TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. Where can they
Yeah.
find you?
On every aspect, on every social media, you can find me at S_Johnson_voiceovers, except for Twitter, where I'm S_Johnson_voice. But everywhere else, it's _voiceovers. Twitter's, it's _voice.
And those links are in the description if you guys want to check him out, follow him. And YouTube also. What's your YouTube?
YouTube is S Johnson Voiceovers, no underscore, all one word, S Johnson Voiceovers.
Awesome. I want to thank Stefan Johnson for doing the show. It was a lot of fun. This guy's really going places, and I'm not just saying that because he did the show and that he's my friend. He actually is. You can find me at DNC Digital on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And that'll do it for this episode of DNC Radio. I hope you guys are doing good. Stay safe. Keep your families close. You guys just make sure you follow me, please. I need to build this shit. I'm working very hard for all you guys. And like Stefan said, I'm working hard for you. Because as fun as this is for me, I enjoy the response that I get, and I'm pretty proud that it's been positive so far. So like I said, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, DNC Digital. Like this video, comment on it if you want, see if you disagree with his food preferences, and subscribe. Hit the post notification bell because I just learned that you need to hit that bell for people to see you. So you guys take care of yourselves. For Stefan, this is D. You guys have a great day. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy D from DNC Digital, back with another episode of DNC Radio. I hope everybody's doing good in the quarantine. I hope everybody's doing good in this pandemic, washing your hands, washing your ass, and wearing your fucking masks. But that's for another conversation. That's for another episode. Right now, I got my old buddy. We met about a year ago on Instagram, and we still don't know